Thanks for clicking on the video. Hit the subscribe button for more weekly content and hit the notification bell so you won't miss a thing. This is it. The culmination of Kari's entire journey from being the Digimon Emperor will finally come into fruition. What's good, peeps? What's poppin'? How you doing? And welcome to the final part of our What If series, What If Kari Was the Digimon Emperor? You heard that correctly, everyone. It's been a long road, but this series has finally reached its conclusion. I can't apologize enough for the inconsistent upload schedule, but for those who stuck around up to this point, thanks, and I hope you've enjoyed the story. I have two announcements before we wrap up this finale. First, some have been asking about the what if Jerry joins us at the beginning story and when it will pick back up. Since Kari's story was close to wrapping up, I wanted to finish it before continuing with the Digimon Tamer team. Announcement number 2. Thanks for voting on the poll a few weeks ago on what the next What If series will be. And as you guys can see on the screen, the next one will be pretty interesting. But I still want to do What If TK Was a Girl, and if we can get to 3,000 subscribers, it'll happen. That's all I had to say, so if you're ready, let's end this story with a bang. If this video receives 30 likes today, I'll upload the next part of Jerry's story tomorrow. Let's begin. The fuzziness in Kari's eyes had vanished, with TK being the first clear sight she's seen in what felt like ages. She then looked all around her to see her friends and teammates warmly smiling back at her. At last, she thought, her nightmare was finally over. Next to her were two completely worn out, but softly sleeping Snow Bodemon. With a gentle sigh of relief, she too fell back into her boyfriend's arms, her first sound sleep since becoming the Digimon Emperor. Though the rest of the forest and the surrounding area looked decimated by the battle, the digital world doesn't seem to be getting worse now that Ordinmon has been taken care of. A few hours passed by, and at last, Kari woke up yet again. She wasn't in the digital world. She was in her own bed, alongside her two partners. She slowly made her way towards the living room, where she was properly greeted back by her parents. Of course, with Tai there as well. Between the hugs and tears, Kari reassured them that she's here to stay, and thanked them for not giving up on her. A little later, Tai managed to get some alone time with his sister in order to catch her up on what the plan is next. Our Kenimon might be gone, but the digital world is gonna need our help to get things back to normal. What about the Destiny Stones? It'll be hard to maintain balance with only 3. Tai explained to her that according to Jahlani, after Ordinmon was defeated, the Harmonious Ones planted new seeds in place of the destroyed Destiny Stones so that new ones can form. If you're like me and confused about how stones can grow back from rocks, just remember that guinea pigs and cats can become angels in this world, so it's best just to roll with it. Tai then continued. Jahlani also told us some pretty concerning news regarding the dark spore that was inside you. Was? Thanks to Sorafimon's holy power, it was totally destroyed. Kari instinctively felt the back of her neck, as if to check if it was really gone. Obviously, there was no physical indicator of its presence, but she felt like the dark part of her was no more. However, there's bad news. Really bad news. While we were gone, there have been reports of children all around the city going missing. After a little investigating, it turns out these kids have all been infected with copies of dark spores. As of right now, no one knows how these children came into contact with the dark spores, but they do know that they were all manipulated into following one strange individual, Yukio Oikawa. Who? None of us really know who he is. Ken says this man used to work with his father, but then suddenly disappeared. Until just a few days ago. All of this was enough for Kari to take action. Having gone through the agony brought on by the dark spore, she wasn't going to allow anyone else to experience that level of darkness. The plan was simple. Find Oikawa, figure out his game, and put a stop to it. In comparison to the original timeline, there are several key differences to note. While the border between both worlds has been weakened due to the loss of half the Destiny Stones, it wasn't weakened to the point that hordes of Digimon can cross over. Some did, but not to the extent of before. While Kari was resting and regaining her strength, the other Digidestined took care of the invading Digimon threat, which was a lot simpler now that all of them could reach the Mega level. There's also no Black World Greymon to contend with, which really doesn't have that much of an impact on our story. And Aru Kanimon has been destroyed a lot earlier than the original. Will that make much of a difference? Let's see. As the days go by, our heroes keep monitoring the infected Digimon as their behavior slowly makes a turn for the worse, particularly a young girl named Noriko. At the beginning, it was simply frustration towards her mother, but those negative emotions have grown to the point of genuine anger and animosity. Ken and Yoli witness this outburst and try their best to get the young girl to listen to reason. As you would expect, that plan failed. Not only that, but just moments later, Noriko begins crying out in immense pain. At the top of her head now appeared to be a bright red flower. Yoli called out to the rest of the team on what just went down, but two individuals appeared in front of them that they weren't expecting. One they recognized as Oikawa, but the other was a blast from the past. "Mummymon, you're still alive?" shouted Ken, ready to fight. "Alas, but what is the point of life without my sweet Arukenimon? Had my way, and I'd send you imps to experience the same fate as she. But this one has more sinister plans for you lot." Oikawa hasn't said a word and makes a mad dash towards Noriko. Wormmon and Hawkmon attempt to DNA Digivolve, but Mummymon quickly wraps him up with his snake bandage, preventing them from doing so. The rest of the Digidestined were arriving on the scene. However, they were too late as the strange man was in the process of harvesting Noriko's dark flower. The power of the flower seemed to supercharge this human, but that wasn't the case. Incredibly dark aura erupting all around him. The Digidestined came to realize that the thing inside Oikawa was getting stronger. That was made all the more apparent when a malevolent laughter echoed from Oikawa's core. Gatomon, having recognized that laughter from her past, couldn't mistake it. "That's my Yotismon!" "There's no way! We destroyed him years ago!" "I wish I was wrong, but there's no denying it." Laughter continued to come from the possessed Oikawa, but instead of cowering in fear, Kari calmly stepped forward ahead of the group. "I'm guessing in the end, it's because of you, my Yotismon, that these children and I had to suffer in the worst darkness imaginable. But that's gonna end right here, right now." The maniacal laughter came to a stop, as if the being had accepted her challenge. Just as he had done in the original story, Yotismon emerges from Oikawa, appearing as his double, deeply confusing the now unpossessed adult man. "What is this?" "This is the fruits of your labor. I thank you kindly for gathering up so much dark energy. Now my reign over both worlds can continue. Mummymon, keep them busy!" The evil clone ordered as dark purple beams of light erupted from all across the city, those being the negative energy from the dark spores of the other children. Kari quickly turned to the rest of her friends and cried out, "Let's finish this once and for all!" With a swift nod, they all unleashed their full power for this final battle. "Agumon, what Digivolve 2? Or Greymon! Gabumon, what Digivolve 2? Metogarurumon! Tetamon, what Digivolve 2? Hercules Kabuterimon! Beamon, what Digivolve 2? Ho'omon! Palmon, what Digivolve 2? Rosemon! Gomamon, what Digivolve 2? Whitemon! Next up, the younger members had their partners DNA Digivolve. Gusokumon! Digivolve 2? Regalkasmon! Tropiamon! Digivolve 2? Hydramon! TK stepped up next to Kari and grabbed her hand. The two didn't say a word, but their hearts were one and focused on one thing: saving the world. Antilamon! Digivolve 2? Cherubimon! Obviously, Mummymon was no issue and was quickly tossed aside. Yotismon, having spent all of his time on Oikawa in the human world, hadn't accounted for this drastic increase in power from the Digidestined and went from haughty to terrified. "How? This cannot be! After all this time, after all this planning, did it really amount to nothing?" "Yotismon, it doesn't matter how much planning you do, because in the end, there's one thing you villains always overlook." "And what's that?" "That light will always win over darkness." On cue, the Digimon let loose their full fury. "Terraforce! Metal Wolf Claw! Starlight Explosion! Giga Blaster! Rose Spear! Arctic Blizzard! Brianna Strike! Giga Blaster! Storm of Judgment!" Yotismon, along with Mummymon, were gone. And unlike before, they weren't coming back. Not from this. The dark lights in the sky had vanished, as did the dark flower from Noriko's head. Oikawa, witnessing it all, was awestruck by it all. But as the moment passed, He approached the Digidestined to explain his role in it all. He explained that though he was possessed by the spirit of Myotismon, he was conscious through it all, and it was his own negative emotions that became the driving factor behind the evil Digimon's plan. He told him that Arukenimon and Mummymon were his creations and confidants to carry out his plan. It was during the time when Arukenimon was using Kari as a puppet for a demon that she was able to copy the programming of the Dark Spore in order to plant it in the other children. Oikawa confessed to it all, and after he had spoken his piece, the man simply turned around and walked away, without giving Kari or anyone else a chance to respond. But for now, they felt that this was for the best. It was Kari who knew just how torn he was, and he needed to find his own path of redemption. Our heroes looked towards the sky, happy with the fact that both worlds are safe once again. And while they might be called again in the future, for now, they can enjoy a normal, peaceful life. And that's where our story will end. How was it? The story began nearly 3 years ago and has easily been the most requested and loved project recently. I can't thank you enough for the patience and support you've given over the course of this series. I believe it was because of this series that the channel broke 2K subscribers, so thanks again. How do you guys feel about the ending? I understand that it felt a little anticlimactic by the way Myotismon's situation was resolved. The reason I sort of rushed that was because this whole story was primarily focused on Kari's challenges after becoming the Digimon Emperor, and that resolution reached its climax with Ordinmon. And since all the Digidestined Digimon had reached the Mega level prior to challenging Myotismon, needless to say, he would pose less of a threat once he arrived. Then there's Oikawa. His backstory wasn't really all that important in the original, and even less so here, so that's why I omitted those details. And as for the kidnapped children, the original story seemed to end on a note that hopes and dreams can defeat any manner of darkness. That wasn't the point of this story either, so their roles were greatly reduced as well. I still hope it ended in a way that can satisfy you all. And the epilogue? Let your imaginations run wild. Thanks for watching, and leave suggestions for more Digimon What Ifs you would like to see to come to life in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.